Hey everyone, welcome to a new collection video. This is for my Super Famicom. I've been talking about wanting to do this for a while, but I've been busy with work. However, my wife is out of town and I thought this was the perfect time to get some of my collections in order. As it happens, all the organization I've done before has slowly deteriorated into titles being strewn all over the house. So I've gathered them all up here. Got a box down here to put them in alphabetical order. And I'm going to run through them all and just give a little description of them and why I picked it out, and talk about why this is one of the more affordable collections I have. Um, I will say that off the bat, a lot of these have been patched for the English fan translation through OCD Reproductions. I will put a link to them in the description box. I definitely recommend them. By supplying the cart, you'll get about a $15 savings, and I'll kind of talk about why I went that route as I go along. I've positioned this so glare is minimum or minimal, so I hope that's worked out. Uh, Let me go ahead and get started here. First off, I will show the system itself. I picked this up last year for about 26 bucks. It cost about that to ship it, but I bought a few games with it to cut down or spread out the shipping cost. It was pretty dirty when I got it in, but I cleaned it up and it's been working like a charm. Uh, my soul will not allow me to say I prefer this over the North American version because that's the one I grew up with. But I will say this is a very nice looking console, compact. I like the color contrast. I like the logo. Very nice. But again, I cannot say it's nicer than the US Super Nintendo. I have it hooked up through this. This is a SCART cable. If any of you have an XRGB, you probably know about this person already, but on eBay there's someone that sells these cables. Just look up SCART Super Nintendo and you will see them. They're from Florida and it's only 18 to 20 bucks for these. I wanted to show this because I definitely recommend them, and I have about 6 cables from them. They've all worked great. I get them really fast and they are very affordable. I also have a Japanese official S video cable, which I was lucky enough to get for about 20, and it works great as well. So either option, you're good to go. I also have this, but this is for emergencies only. This is a pass-through adapter to play US Super Nintendo games on the system. I don't want to. I'm not sure how reliable these are. Everything I've tried works fine, but in terms of build quality, I don't think it's damaging the pins any. It looks good enough, but I don't want to take the chance. So like I said, emergencies only. If something's wrong with my US Super Nintendo, um, I will break this out. So far, so good, but I just don't want to take any chances. I don't want to have to import another Super Famicom. And I mentioned that this is one of my more affordable collections. And that's because I kind of did a quick price tally of the titles I bought, and a third of this collection is under $10. And when I say under $10, you can add shipping because I'll buy multiple things at once to spread the cost out. But pre-shipping cost, one was $2.25. I have a few $3.25s, a few $5, a $2.55, some eights, some nines. When you want to go $11 to $15, you can lump in another 5 or 6 of these, maybe even more, because some of this might, it might be 15.50. Like this one's 10.53. So if we're adding those into $0 to $10 range, I mean that's over a third of this collection is under $10. If you want to add in shipping, shipping from Japan is actually very, very reasonable. There are a handful of sellers that go overboard with it, but for the most part, you're only looking at $3 or $4. If you want to wait, that's about $3 or $4. If you want it a little sooner, you're looking at as that SAL Surface and Surface Air Land. It's a few bucks more. I like to buy a few titles at a time to get discount shipping, so I'll spread $5 or $9 in shipping over 3 or 4 titles. So super affordable. Next to my Genesis, this is probably the cheapest collection I have. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Oh, and I also would like to recommend 2 things. One, these protective cases. Definitely get these. I tried making this video in another room and it got too hot. And in the process of shifting everything around, I dropped a stack of these and no damage whatsoever. These work like a charm. And also, if you have a Target near you, definitely check out the Espresso 2-drawer organizer. I've counted, each one fits about 24 Super Famicom games. Really nice. You get about 20 with the spine up, and you can fit 4 in like this, so you'll see the surface of them, or the cover. Those are about $35. And they work great for Super Nintendo games as well. So very and Genesis. I'll say that I have a few of those, and if you're looking at jewel case, each drawer holds over 100 some odd, maybe 200 jewel cases. They're a great value. They're not going to look expensive, but I think they look presentable and super affordable. So definitely check out the Espresso 2-drawer organizer. Okay, so starting off, we have ActRaiser. Now this one has been patched, and if you're wondering why, that's because the original difficulty level was altered for the US release. So I wanted to play the original version, or as original as I could. It turns out someone retranslated the game. They fixed a bunch of item names and they just cleaned it up. So I went ahead and had this one patched. Now, for most games I have patched, I will have the equivalent. Like if I have a repro cart for the Super Nintendo, I'll have the Japanese original. And I did that before I started getting them patched. That was getting very expensive, and I realized, if I could get this game for $8 shipped, have it patched for 30, I could have box, manual, complete. This one was really cheap because you'll see the spine has some wear on it. I think this is one of the $3 ones, but still, in this case, the carts are all in excellent condition. They've all worked. In most cases, the manuals are just fine, and so are the inserts. So if I ever really felt the need, I could just buy a nicer version of this for maybe $15 and replace the box and the manual. But as is, this is fine. I will be getting a US version of this to just to kind of have both copies. But yeah, so this retains the original difficulty level and has improved an improved translation. That was what I was going for, and this is the only way I found to get it. And so here you have ActRaiser. This is another similar situation, but probably a more drastic one. So the original translation of Breath of Fire 2 is notoriously bad. Genders changed, verb tenses change. It was just hammered hard for how poorly it was localized. Last year, I want to say, a new translation came out, and I started reading nothing but praise for it. So I immediately, when I got a Famicom, started tracking down this one. It took a while to find a copy in this good a shape and absolutely mint complete, and it was only $8. I've noticed that sometimes there'll be a game that's cheaper than the rest that's just sitting there. And I get the idea, or I get the feeling that people are under the impression something's wrong with it because it's half the price of everything else and it's been there. I always take a leap on those, and I have not been disappointed yet. So this looks brand new inside. There is absolutely no wear anywhere. It was $8. I do not have the US version yet because it is incredibly expensive, but not just that, I will pay the price. It's that the conditions are always bad. I have not seen a good copy of Breath of Fire 2 US. They'll be ratty shape and they'll want over $100 for it, and I'll just wait because that's not going to happen. But of course, price is one of the reasons why I switched to the Famicom. I focused on Sega systems for a long time, and when I finally got back to the Super Nintendo, I had heard prices went up, but I wasn't prepared for how much they went up. So that's why you'll see Mario's and Donkey Kongs, because those are, a third or a fourth, sometimes a fifth of the price of the US equivalents. But Breath of Fire 2, I get a far superior translation, nice box, complete, mint, for what is that, less than $40. I'm sold. Bahamut Lagoon, now this is a role-playing game that I actually got because I picked up the what do you call that, repro card. This was the last title I did that for. After this, I found OCD Reproductions. Before that, I've been asking around. I wasn't getting any responses, and that's kind of typical with repro companies. They get busy and takes them a long time to get back to you, or they just don't. OCD Reproductions got back to me super quickly, said absolutely, just let us know what you want to do. So after this one, I went ahead and started getting the carts patched. But yeah, this was also very cheap. Comes complete, it's got all the inserts, and that's why I like getting the originals with the repros. I like getting the extra artwork and inserts that are in these versions. But yeah, this is easily found as a repro card if you're interested. A very nice looking role playing game, but I noticed the Japanese one has, I think it's a demo mode from the main menu that's missing from the repro version. Let's see. Okay, I actually wrote the title of this one down here. Oop. This is Battle Zekiden, I believe. Zekui. But this is one I was really disappointed in because the condition is terrible. This is supposed to be bright white, but if you can see, it's got brown everywhere. Now, I did buy another copy of this. I got it $10 cheaper, and it's in better shape, but it's not as good a shape as the picture showed either. However, it's better than this one, and I know 2D Champion 2D Rob had saw this in the pickup video originally, and he expressed interest in it. And so, Rob, if you want it, this one's yours. I understand if you want to get one that's in minty shape, but I'm not sure when I'll be able to get it out to you. But yeah, if you're interested, I'll go ahead and send this to you. If you want to pass on it, I'll ask around to see if anyone else does, because I don't need 2 copies of it. And like I said, the other one is slightly better, and so I'm going to go ahead and keep it. But this is an interesting platformer that has a combat system similar to a brawler, like a Streets of Rage. You can pick one of 3 characters. Unfortunately, there is no simultaneous 2-player mode, and they have basic combo systems. So like a Streets of Rage, you start the move off with a punch, and you can follow up with 2 or 3 other punches. There's jump kicks, there's throws. You can throw enemies into others, but it's all set against a more traditional platforming level design. So it's pretty interesting. They have different special moves for each character. It's a bit basic. It commands a higher price than a lot of games. It's not terribly expensive. You'll see it go for a lot, but if you look around, you can buy it for half the price. I've seen it go for 80, and the first one I bought was 30 something, and this one, the other one was 20 something. So you can definitely get it at a good price. It'll take a while, and sometimes it is difficult because people just automatically put it up for 70, 60, 80, whatever. I don't think it's worth that much, but it is a very fun game. If you can find it in the 20 to 30 range, definitely pick it up. Now, this is one I picked up because I had never seen this before on console. I have the computer version. I was a huge fan of castles on the computer. This is technically Super Castles because it's the Super Famicom version. I found one seller that had this, and I didn't see it for sale when I checked sold listings, and no one else had it. And it was, I think, $18. Or no, it was $19 with shipping. So I definitely grabbed it. Of course, I can't understand the options, but since I have the computer version, which you can get off Good Old Games or Steam, I already know what's going on. This is much simpler than Part 2, but you get to design and build your own castles. You control a realm. You have these little sequences that play out where emissaries from neighboring kingdoms come and ask you questions. It's pretty basic because this came out in the early 90s, but it's still fun. There's a lot of flair to it. Like getting you to design and build your own castles is a blast. I really like the graphics. They're of the age, but they're really quaint to me. So yeah, this was a really neat pickup. Like I said, I had no idea this existed. Really wish it would have came out over here. Now, next up, I'm just going to call it the US name, Dracula 4. This is sun-faded a little, but that's because this is going for ridiculous sums. So I got one that was not quite up to what I normally buy, but I saved about half the price. And I wanted this one because it has a few bits that were not changed. Like they took out crucifixes and whatnot for the US release. First of all, that's a minor thing. I'm not diehard about having stuff uncensored. I do think it's really neat if I can get something that isn't. But it was also that this was, my goodness, something like 60% cheaper than the US copy. And like I said, because I got this one a little faded, I did get a good deal on it. But the cart looks great, plays fine, the manual's in good shape. I'd like to get a better box someday, but I'll probably use that money to get a US copy instead. And it's nice just to have it with everything intact and nothing changed. I'm not the biggest Castlevania fan. I am, but it's hard to say that because I know people who know everything about the series, and I'm not on that level. I do enjoy it, but I can't tell you the backstories to any of them. Next up, this is kind of a darker role-playing game. I guess that's why it's called Dark Half. But yeah, more gothic in tone. This is one of the ones I found for $9. It was $9.99 shipped, came complete. This was from, I think they're called Tozai imports, exports on eBay. I mean, this was probably one of the best condition games I've ever got. Everything in it looks like it's never been touched. But this has been also patched and fan translated. I have not spent any time with this because I got it back pretty recently. The patching process has been ongoing for a while. I'll send a few titles at a time whenever I get the extra money. And this one was the last batch to come back. I did play it to test it before I sent it. And you can see, hopefully the glare is not too bad, kind of the art style they have with the skulls and the vampires. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to trying it out. I liked what I tried before I sent it off. But yeah, Dark Half. And one of these has taken up most of my time, and that's why I haven't got to a lot of the role-playing games that have been returned. Next up is Donkey Kong 2. Now, I picked this one up. I'm not the biggest Donkey Kong fan, but it was, I think, $9 or $8. It was one of the ones I picked up with my Super Famicom. And it came in good enough condition to me. You can see it's actually in nice shape. Came complete. And like I said, it's not that I'm not a big Donkey Kong fan. I'm just not a huge fan of platformers in general. I do enjoy them, and that's why I'll pick them up from time to time because I'll get the itch, and I like to have some of the. If I'm going to play one, I want it to be like a Mario or Donkey Kong, a Sonic. I don't really dabble in in kind of niche series or lesser known. If I hear about one a friend recommends, I'll give it a go. But for the most part, I stick with the mainline titles, and so definitely had to get Donkey Kong 2. Next up, we have Dragon Quest 3, Dragon Quest 5, and Dragon Quest 6. These were all, no, Dragon Quest 3 was $4. It was the most expensive of these. Dragon Quest 5 was $2.25. And Dragon Quest 6 was $3.25. I remember these prices because I couldn't believe it. Now, all these have been sent off and patched. Now, Dragon Quest 6's translation was not finished. From my understanding, I could still beat the game. And it's in English, but just certain parts haven't been translated. And I just figured if I'm going to have the other ones translated, I might as well have this one done too. I don't have this on many other systems. I think the DS is the only other system I have it on. And I couldn't decide if I wanted to play the DS version or the Super Famicom. Obviously, the DS one will have a better translation, but sometimes handhelds cramp my hand and my neck, so I like to sit on the sofa and lean back with a controller. So I had this one done. Dragon Quest V, I'm kind of in a predicament because I recently picked up the PS2 version for $1.25, but it's got a fan translation, and I have the DS version. Like I said, I was planning on going through the handheld ones, so I found these. Now I can't decide if I want to do this one or the PS2 version. For the graphics, I might go with this one because there's something about just the simpler art style that I enjoy. But the PS2 one does look really fun, so I guess over time I could try both. But I will say this one was a big surprise, Dragon Quest 3. This game looks gorgeous. It was also more expensive than the rest because he said he had to do extra work. And I'm not sure why this one looks so much better than the other ones, but yeah, this game looks fantastic. When I booted it up, it just seemed like it was on another level from 5 or 6. And this is the one, I am playing through 4 on the DS, and I guess I'm about 70% done with it. And when I finish it, I'm going to go back and play 3, because this looks like a lot of fun. Had a really great intro. I was hooked